2 weeks passed. Daniel and Stone had fallen into a routine. Stone's leg had healed well. The creature was back to full strength, moving through the landscape with power and grace. Daniel had strengthened the shelter, creating walls that would not blow away in the next storm. They had found fresh water from a spring near the cave. They had found food, strange plants that were safe to eat, and Stone had shown Daniel which ones by eating them first. Life had settled into something almost normal. Then, Stone came back to the shelter with blood on its face. Not its own blood. Daniel was sharpening tools from the crash site when Stone burst through the shelter entrance, making sounds that Daniel had never heard before. High-pitched hisses, angry growls. Stone was agitated. The creature was scared. "What happened?" Daniel asked, standing up. Stone did not answer, but it pushed Daniel deeper into the cave, into the dark places where the shelter was strongest. Daniel heard sounds outside. Voices, not human voices. Something else. Something that spoke in clicks and buzzing sounds. Then he understood. They were not alone on this world. Daniel moved to a gap in the metal panels and looked outside. There were 5 of them. They were not like Stone. They were tall and thin, with skin that looked like chitin, hard and black and shiny like an insect's armor. They had too many limbs. They moved in a way that made Daniel's stomach turn. All angles and wrong motion. They were looking at the shelter, looking at the blood on the ground outside. One of them made a clicking sound. The others made the same sound. It sounded like laughter, but it was not laughter. It was hunting sounds. The sound of predators who had found prey. "They hunt for us," Daniel whispered. He realized what must have happened. Stone had gone out to find food or water, and these things had attacked it. Stone had fought them off and returned to protect Daniel. These creatures were not native scavengers. They were hunters. And they were intelligent. Daniel moved away from the gap. He needed to think. He needed a plan. These things had been looking for him. They knew the ship had crashed. They knew there might be survivors. The human colony transport had been heading for a specific planet, a destination that must have been known. And these creatures had been waiting. They wanted him alive. Alive meant capture. Alive meant something worse than death. Daniel touched Stone's neck. The creature was trembling, ready to attack. Blood dripped from where one of the insects had bitten Stone's shoulder. "Not yet," Daniel said. "Let me think." He moved through the shelter, looking at what he had. Metal panels, cables, wire, tools, and stone. One alien creature that was wounded and angry. Against 5 intelligent hunters with weapons that Daniel could not see, but knew must exist. The hunters began to circle the shelter. Daniel found pieces of metal and sharpened them to points using the tools he had. He fashioned them into spears of sorts, thin and deadly. Not perfect weapons, but something. He arranged them inside the shelter, within quick reach. Then he looked at Stone. "When I open the panel, you attack the one on the left. Fast and hard. Do not let it use its weapons. I will take the ones behind." Daniel did not know if Stone would understand, but the creature was watching his face, reading his movements, understanding his intent. The hunters were getting closer. Daniel could hear them making those clicking sounds. They were communicating with each other, planning. They thought they had Daniel cornered. They did not understand what they were facing. Daniel pulled the panel open. Stone exploded through the gap. The creature did not roar or hiss. It did not warn them. It simply attacked. Its jaws locked around one of the insects, and it threw the creature across the ground like a toy. The insect screamed, a sound like metal tearing. Daniel came out next. He had a metal spear in each hand. Another hunter turned toward him. It had something in its front limbs, something that crackled with energy. A weapon. It was fast, but it had not fought a human before. Daniel had been a soldier before he became a colonist. He moved under the creature's attack and drove a spear into the joint of its leg. The thing collapsed. It was not dead, but it was down. Two more hunters rushed at him at once. Daniel ran backward toward the cave. They followed, exactly as he wanted them to. He led them to a place where the ceiling was low, where their extra limbs became a problem instead of an advantage. He ducked under the reach of one and drove his shoulder into its body, slamming it into the rock wall. The creature went down. The second one tried to get around him. Daniel grabbed it with both hands and threw it against the wall. Hard. Harder than he should have had to throw it. But he was fighting for his life. Mercy was a luxury he did not have behind him. Stone was still fighting. The hunter that Stone had attacked was trying to get away, trying to call for help. Stone would not let it. The creature's teeth and claws tore through the insect's armor. It was vicious and final. The last hunter was the fastest. It grabbed Daniel's arm and lifted him off the ground. Daniel felt pain, sharp and bright, teeth or claws digging into his flesh. But he had been through worse. He twisted his body and brought his forehead down hard against the creature's head. He did it again and again. The creature's grip loosened. Stone was there suddenly, helping. The two of them, human and alien together, brought the last hunter down. Then it was over. The shelter was quiet except for the sound of heavy breathing. Daniel checked himself. His arm was bleeding badly. His ribs hurt worse than before, but he was alive. Stone was alive. The hunters were not moving. They had won. Daniel went into the shelter and found medical supplies. He bandaged his arm, making the work rough but effective. He checked Stone's wounds, multiple bites and scratches. Deep ones. Stone had taken the worst of the attack. Daniel worked on the creature's wounds, treating each one with care. Stone did not make pain sounds. It just sat there, watching Daniel work, trusting him to make things right. As Daniel cleaned the blood away, he realized something. This creature had fought not just for survival, but for him. Stone had come back to the shelter because it wanted to protect Daniel. The creature had attacked those hunters knowing they might be stronger, might be faster. It had done it because they were partners now. Because Stone had chosen to stay with him. That meant something. More than survival. More than convenience. Daniel finished bandaging the last wound. Stone made that low sound, the one Daniel recognized as contentment. The creature leaned its head against Daniel's chest, and Daniel wrapped his arms around Stone's neck. Outside, the bodies of the hunters lay still. They had been the first threat. There would be others. But Daniel and Stone had proven something here. Together, they could survive anything. The sky was growing dark. The green sun was setting. Daniel stayed with Stone through the night, keeping watch, making sure the creature rested. And Stone stayed close to him, no longer just a beast, but a friend who had proven its loyalty in blood and battle. They would survive this world together, or they would die together. Either way, neither would face it alone. The ship came down hard. Daniel Rivers felt the metal scream around him as the transport vessel tore through the alien sky. Alarms screamed in his ears. Red lights flashed across the control panels. He gripped the armrest and braced himself as the floor tilted at a wrong angle. Around him, colonists shouted and cried out. Then came the impact. The crash threw Daniel forward. His head hit something hard. Pain exploded behind his eyes. The world spun and twisted around him. Metal bent. Glass shattered. The sound of destruction filled everything. Then silence. Daniel lay on his back, staring at a cracked ceiling panel above him. He did not move for a long time. His body hurt. His head throbbed. But he was alive. He could feel that much. Slowly, he pushed himself up on his elbows. His hand shook. The cargo hold was a mess. Crates had fallen open. Equipment lay scattered across the floor. He saw no other movement. No other people moving. He was alone in this wreckage. Daniel got to his feet. His legs felt weak. He walked toward the exit, stepping over broken things. The ship had crashed nose first into the ground. The emergency doors hung open. He could see daylight beyond them. He stepped outside. The world was wrong. The sky was not blue. It was a deep purple color, almost black, with clouds that moved too fast. The ground beneath his feet was gray and hard like concrete. Strange plants grew everywhere, things that looked like nothing on Earth. Their stems were thick, and their leaves were a color between red and brown dot. The air tasted thick when he breathed it. It felt heavy in his lungs, but it was breathable. His suit was still working. That was good. Daniel turned around and looked at the ship. It was torn apart. The nose was buried in the ground. One wing had broken off completely. The other wing stuck up at a bad angle. People had been in that ship. Hundreds of them. They were supposed to start a new colony. Now they were probably all dead. He was alone on an alien world with no rescue coming. Daniel walked around the wreckage, looking for supplies. He found a sealed crate that had not burst open. Inside were medical kits and tools. He tied them together and slung them across his back. At least he had something. The sun was setting. Or what like a sun? It was green. It hung low in the sky, casting strange shadows across the ground. Daniel needed to find shelter before dark. He did not know what lived on this world. He did not know what came out when night fell. He chose a direction away from the crash. Sighton started walking. The landscape was flat for a while, then it started to rise. Hills appeared. Daniel climbed them, looking for anything that might protect him. Then he saw it. A cave opening in a rock face. It looked deep and dark and safe. He walked toward it. That was when he heard the sound. It was not loud. It was a low rumble, like thunder coming from far away. But it was not coming from the sky. It was coming from the ground. From somewhere near the rocks. Daniel stopped walking. He held his breath. A shape moved in the shadow of the cave entrance. It was big. Very big. Daniel could see it was massive, taller than he was, wider than the cargo crate he had found. It had a shape that was almost like a lizard, but wrong. All wrong. It had 4 thick legs and a tail that was longer than its body. Its skin was dark gray and covered in scales that looked hard as armor. It had multiple eyes along its head, and it was looking at him. Daniel did not move. Every part of his training told him to run. But running on an alien world with an alien predator was a good way to die. So he stood still. The creature took a step forward. Its weight made the ground shake. It was dragging something. Daniel realized that the creature was hurt. Its left side was bleeding. A large piece of metal from the crash site was embedded in its leg. The creature was limping. It had been hit by the ship when it crashed. The creature looked at Daniel with those many eyes. It made a sound, something between a hiss and a growl. It was not loud. It was painful. An animal in pain. An intelligent animal. Daniel could see it in the way the creature moved, in the way it looked at him. This thing was not just a beast. There was thought in those eyes. The creature took another step forward. Daniel could run now. The creature was hurt. He could get away. He could hide in the cave, and the creature would not follow. It was the smart move. The safe move. Instead, he unslung his pack and opened the medical kit. The creature stopped moving. It made that painful sound again. Daniel held up his hand slowly. He showed the creature the medical bandages. He spoke in a calm, quiet voice. Easy, easy. I am not going to hurt you. You are hurt. Let me help you. Just let me help you. The creature did not understand his words, but something in his voice made it pause. The creature sat down on its rear legs. It was still bleeding. The metal in its leg was deep. Daniel walked forward very slowly. He did not take his eyes off the creature. One careful step at a time. He got close enough to reach out and touch the bleeding leg. The creature made that sound again, a hiss of pain. "I know it hurts," Daniel said. His hands were steady now. He pulled the metal piece out carefully. The creature's leg bled more. Daniel wrapped it in bandages from the kit. He was careful and fast. The creature did not move. It watched him work with those many eyes. When he was done, he stepped back. The creature stood up and tested its leg. It could move it. It was not broken. The pain was less now. The creature looked at Daniel again. Daniel waited. The creature lay down on the ground right there, not far from where Daniel was standing. It rested its head on one of its front legs. Its breathing slowed. It was exhausted from pain and loss of blood. Daniel sat down in the dirt. He was not far from the creature, close enough to be touched, close enough to be killed if the creature decided to attack. But it did not attack. It just lay there, resting, watching him with those many eyes until the alien sun went down and the world turned dark. The stars above were nothing like the stars on Earth. They were sharper, brighter. They looked cold and far away. Daniel sat with the alien beast as the night came down, and for the first time since the crash, he felt like maybe he was not going to die alone on this world. Thought maybe this strange creature would help him survive. Or maybe it would kill him in the darkness when its strength came back. Only time would tell. Morning came to the alien world in strange colors. The green sun rose above the horizon and cast everything in a sickly light. Daniel woke to find the creature still lying near him, its breathing steady and calm. The wound had stopped bleeding. The bandages had held. Daniel stood up slowly, checking his own injuries. His ribs were sore from the crash. His head still ached. But nothing was broken. He was lucky. On this world, luck meant survival. The creature opened one eye and watched him stand. It did not move. It was still weak from the blood loss. It needed food and rest. Daniel needed the same thing. He spoke to the creature as he moved around. "I am going to look for materials. I need to build shelter. Real shelter. A place we can both survive." The creature could not understand his words, but it seemed to calm at the sound of his voice. Daniel had learned long ago that tone mattered, more than meaning. He went back to the crash site. The ship was already different in the light. Pieces had shifted. Things had broken further. But there was still usable material. Daniel found metal panels that had torn loose from the hull. They were light enough for him to carry, but they were long and awkward. He carried one back to the cave. The creature watched him drag the panel across the ground. It did not react. It just lay there, conserving energy. Daniel made many trips, back and forth from the crash site to the cave. Metal panels, cables, wires, anything he could salvage. His body screamed at him with each trip. The alien air felt thicker with each breath. But he kept working. Survival required effort. On his 8th trip, he noticed something. The creature had moved. It was no longer lying down. It was standing on its 4 legs, though it still favored the injured leg. It was watching him drag a panel across the ground. Daniel stopped. He pointed at the panel, then at the cave entrance. "I need to move these, to build a shelter. Can you help me?" The creature made a low sound. It was not a hiss this time. It was different. Almost like agreement. The creature walked over to the panel. Daniel thought it might step on it or ignore him. Instead, the creature lowered its massive head and nudged the panel forward with its snout. The panel slid across the ground easily, moved by the creature's strength. They worked together. The creature understood what Daniel wanted. It helped him carry the heavy panels to the cave entrance. It used its strength to push them into place. Daniel arranged them and tied them with cables from the ship. The creature watched and learned that by midday, they had a frame. Daniel used the cables to lash the panels together. The creature helped him lift the heavier pieces. It was like working with another person, except stronger and without the need for words. The creature understood purpose. It understood building dot as they worked. Daniel gave the creature a name. You are solid. You are strong. Your name is Stone. He said it while pointing at the creature. Stone, can you understand that? That is your name. The creature made that low sound again. It might have been Stone responding to his name. Or it might have been coincidence. Daniel did not care. Stone was what he would call a creature, and in his mind, that made it more real. More than just a beast. More like a partner. They finished the basic shelter as the sun began to set. The frame stood in front of the cave, using the rock face as one wall and the metal panels as the other three. It was not perfect. Wind could get through the gaps. But it was better than sleeping in the open. Daniel had just finished securing the last panel when the sky changed. The wind came first. Then the rain. But it was not like rain on Earth. It was thick and heavy, almost like liquid that was not quite water. It fell in fat drops that hurt when they hit his skin. It came down hard and fast, flooding the ground. The cave entrance began to flood. Storm, Daniel said. Come on. We need to get inside properly. He and Stone moved the panels around, closing off the cave entrance except for a small gap at the top for air. The rain came harder. Water ran down the rock face and pooled outside their shelter. The wind pushed against the metal panels. They bent and creaked and flexed. Daniel held the panels in place. They started to come apart. Stone moved forward. The creature pressed its massive body against the panels, holding them in place with its weight and strength. The wind screamed around them. The rain came down like weapons. Daniel worked the cables, tightening them, securing the panels to the rock face and to Stone's body. For an hour, they fought the storm. Then, slowly, it began to ease. The rain became lighter. The wind died down. The sky was still dark and angry, but the worst was over. Daniel and Stone stood in the darkness of their shelter, breathing hard. Stone was bleeding again where a panel had scraped its side. Daniel's hands were cut and bleeding from the metal edges. But they had survived. They had kept the shelter standing. Daniel found the medical kit in the darkness. He could not see well, but he worked by feel. He bandaged Stone's new wounds. Then he found some ration bars from the ship in his pack and broke them in half. He gave half of one to Stone. The creature took the food in its mouth and ate it. Then it made that low sound again. It was different this time. Calmer. Content. They rested in their shelter as the storm raged outside. Daniel sat with his back against the metal panels. Stone lay down next to him, close enough that they were almost touching. Neither was afraid anymore. They had something now. Not just survival, but shelter. A place they had built together. A place they had defended together. In the darkness of that cave, with the alien rain falling outside and the alien wind howling around their makeshift walls, Daniel understood something important. He was not alone anymore. This creature, this beast that should have been his enemy, had become something else. A partner. A reason to keep fighting. Stone made a soft sound in the darkness, something like a purr, and Daniel reached out and touched the creature's scaled neck. They were home. The signal came in the middle of the night. Daniel was in his workshop when the old communication device crackled to life. It was a piece from the crashed ship that he had managed to repair weeks ago. He had mostly forgotten about it, left it running in the background while he worked on other things. But humans did not forget what radios meant. They meant civilization. They meant rescue. He turned up the volume. This is the merchant vessel Galileo to any human survivors. We have detected a colony transport crash signature on this world. If anyone is alive, respond. We are here to help. A merchant vessel. Not a rescue ship, but something. Someone. Other humans who knew there was a colony here, who had come to investigate. Daniel's hand shook as he sent a response. This is Captain Daniel Rivers. I survived the crash. I am still alive. The crash site is on the eastern continent. I can give you coordinates. Static. Then, copy, Captain. We are sending down a rescue team. Prepare yourself. We will arrive at your location in 2 hours. 2 hours. Daniel looked around the workshop. At the home he had built. At the structures made of salvaged metal and alien wood. At the technology he had managed to create. At the life he had built with stone. He walked outside where Stone was resting. The creature opened its eyes and stood up. Stone had learned to read Daniel's mood from his walk, his breathing, the way he held himself. And right now, Stone could see something was different. Something was wrong. Humans are coming, Daniel said. He did not know how much Stone would understand, but he explained anyway. Other humans are coming to rescue me. They will be here soon. 2 hours. Stone made a sound. It was not the purr sound. It was lower. Worried. Daniel sat down next to the creature and ran his hand along Stone's neck. I do not know what will happen. They will see you, and they will be afraid. They will want to protect me from you. They will not understand what we are, what we have built together. Stone pressed its head against Daniel's chest. The gesture was clear. Do not leave me. I do not want to leave you, Daniel said. But I do not know if I have a choice. The 2 hours passed too quickly. The rescue team came in a shuttle that descended from the sky like something out of a dream. It was human technology, beautiful and wrong after so long in the alien world. The shuttle landed near the main camp, sending up clouds of dust. The door opened. 5 soldiers in advanced armor came out first, weapons ready, scanning equipment active. They were looking for threats. Then they saw Stone. The creature was standing near the cave entrance in the center of the camp, right where Daniel had asked it to stand, visible, open, not hiding. The soldiers immediately moved to defensive positions, weapons raised. Stand down. Daniel ran toward them, hands up. That creature is not a threat. It is my partner. Please, stand down. A captain took off his helmet. His name was Marcus Webb. He stared at Daniel like he was looking at a ghost. Captain Rivers? You have been here for 9 months. You are alive. You look. He did not finish the sentence. He was looking at Stone, looking at the camp, looking at the buildings and the structures and the clear evidence that Daniel had done far more than just survive. I have not just survived, Daniel said. I have built something. With Stone. That is what I call the creature. We have built a settlement together. A home. Webb lowered his weapon. Sir, that creature could be dangerous. We need to evacuate you immediately. No, Daniel said. The word was firm, final. I am not leaving without Stone, and Stone is not leaving me. Captain, you are not thinking clearly. The radiation, the isolation, the stress of survival could have... I am thinking clearer than I have in my entire life, Daniel interrupted. He was not angry, but he was certain. Stone saved my life. Not just once, many times. We have built shelters together. We have defended against hunters together. We have learned from each other. And I will not abandon a friend because you are afraid of what you do not understand. Webb looked at his team. They did not know what to do. The captain took a step toward Stone. Weapon ready. Daniel moved in front of him. If you want to shoot Stone, you will have to shoot me first, Daniel said. He meant every word. The 2 men stood face to face. Soldier and captain. Rescue and refusal. The moment stretched on, then Stone moved. The creature did not attack. It did not advance. Instead, Stone moved toward Daniel and stood behind him. The gesture was clear. "This human belongs with me. You cannot have him." Webb's face changed. Something in him understood the meaning of that action. This was not a pet and its master. This was not a beast defending its territory. This was a creature defending its family. "Show me around," Webb said. He lowered his weapon fully. Daniel showed the rescue team the camp. He showed them the water systems, the food stores, the workshop, the power system, the defensive structures. He showed them the structures where Stone rested and where Daniel worked. He showed them the life they had built together. "This is extraordinary," one of the soldiers said. "A woman named Kira. You built this with an alien?" "I built this with my friend," Daniel said. Webb was quiet for a long time. Then, "What do you want to do, sir?" "We can take you to the colony drop site. New colonists are coming. The colony is being re-established properly with supplies and equipment. You could help lead it." Daniel looked at Stone. The creature was watching him, waiting for him to decide. "Take the supplies," Daniel said. "But I am staying here. Stone and I will help with the colony, but we will do it from here. We will help build it. But this settlement, this home, is where we belong." "You are sure?" "I have never been more sure of anything in my life." Webb nodded. "Then we will bring supplies, equipment, people who want to help build rather than control. The colony will grow from your settlement. Stone's Haven, we will call it. Named after the creature who showed a human kindness when it had no reason to." The shuttle returned to the larger ship. It came back with containers of supplies, fresh food, medicine, building materials, and hope. Over the following weeks, the colony grew around Daniel and Stone's settlement. New humans arrived. They were soldiers and engineers and scientists. Some were afraid of Stone at first. But Daniel and Kira and the others who understood worked to change their minds. They showed them what Stone could do, what Stone could teach, how intelligence comes in many forms. Stone worked alongside the humans. The creature helped build the new structures. It showed the engineers where water could be found. It identified safe plants and dangerous ones. It became the bridge between human knowledge and alien wisdom. Years passed. Stone's Haven became a settlement of thousands. It was the largest human colony on the alien world. And it was named after a creature that humanity had learned to respect. A creature that had chosen kindness over violence. That had chosen friendship over survival advantage. The colony thrived because humans and aliens worked together. Because Daniel had seen intelligence in Stone's eyes and had answered it with mercy instead of fear. Because one human and one alien creature had built a home together and had shown everyone else what was possible when you trusted in friendship over suspicion. Stone lived many years, longer than any human. The creature grew old in the settlement it had helped build. And when Stone finally rested for the last time, the entire colony mourned. They built a monument in the center of town. Not a statue of Stone, but a monument to partnership. A place where humans and aliens could remember what was possible when they chose to work together. Daniel lived to see Stone pass into rest. The old captain stood by the monument often, remembering the day when a wounded beast and a frightened human had looked at each other in the darkness and had chosen trust. The shelter they built together lasted forever. Not the physical structures. Those were rebuilt and improved over time. But the idea, the principle, the proof that survival was not about domination or fear. It was about seeing the intelligence in another creature and choosing to honor it. It was about building a home not just with materials, but with kindness. And that home, Stone's Haven, became a beacon to the galaxy, a place where humans and aliens lived as equals, a place born from the crash of one human and the mercy of one alien, a place that proved home was not a location, it was a choice. It was the decision to stand beside someone different and say, "We will build this together." The green sun still rose over the alien world, casting strange shadows across a settlement that should never have existed. But it did exist, because one human named Daniel Rivers had saved a creature, and in doing so, had saved himself. Months passed like seasons on the alien world. Daniel had stopped counting the days. Time moved differently here. The green sun did not seem to follow the same patterns as Earth's sun. Days were longer, nights were shorter, but time still moved forward. The shelter had grown. What started as a single cave entrance now had multiple buildings around it. Daniel had constructed a workshop where he could shape metal from the crash site. He had built a storage structure where he kept food and supplies. He had created a water collection system that caught the thick rainfall and filtered it clean. The camp looked less like a shelter now and more like a real settlement. And Stone had learned. The creature had started helping with precise work. Daniel had not thought that possible at first. But Stone was intelligent in ways Daniel was still discovering. The creature had hands, or what looked like hands, on its front limbs. They had claws, yes, but the claws could be controlled with precision. Daniel had taught Stone how to help him shape metal, how to hold tools, how to follow instructions. One morning, Daniel pointed to a pile of wood gathered from the strange alien trees. "Can you arrange these in a line? Like this?" He demonstrated, making a line with his hands. Stone watched carefully. Then the creature picked up pieces of wood and arranged them exactly as Daniel had shown. Not close to correct. Exactly correct. Daniel stood back and realized something. Stone was not just learning. Stone was understanding the concept. The creature was not copying. It was comprehending. After that day, Daniel began teaching more seriously. He taught Stone words. Not full sentences, but single words. When Daniel pointed at the water collection system, he said, "Water." When Stone touched it, Daniel confirmed it. Yes, water. The creature learned. Within weeks, Stone understood dozens of words, but it was the gesture language that worked best. Daniel made a gesture for work, a gesture for rest, a gesture for danger, a gesture for food. Stone learned these quickly. They developed their own language, something between human speech and animal sound and hand gesture. It was not perfect, but it worked. They could communicate complex ideas. One day, Daniel was trying to fix the power system. He had managed to get some of the ship's electronics working, but the energy source was wrong. The planet's natural energy did not match Earth technology. He had been frustrated for hours, unable to make it work. Stone watched from across the workshop. Then the creature made a sound. Not a word Daniel knew, but a question in tone. Stone gestured toward the device, then made a series of movements with its claws. It was showing Daniel something. Daniel watched carefully. Stone was moving its claws in a specific pattern, making precise movements in the air. Then the creature touched the device and made the same movements again, slowly, deliberately. "You are showing me how to do this," Daniel said. He was not asking. Stone made a low sound. Agreement. Daniel followed Stone's movements. He made the adjustments the creature was suggesting, testing each one carefully. After the fourth adjustment, the device came alive. Lights turned on. The power system activated. "How did you know?" Daniel asked. Stone could not answer, but the creature made sounds that might have been laughter or might have been triumph. After that, Daniel understood that Stone was not just learning from him. Stone was teaching him. The creature understood things about this world that humans never could. The planet itself, its rhythms, its energy, things that were natural to Stone because Stone was native to a similar world. Daniel began to see Stone not as a beast he had saved, but as a teacher, a partner with knowledge that was equally valuable. The two of them worked together on bigger projects. Daniel used his human engineering knowledge, and Stone used its instinctive understanding of the world. Together, they made things work in ways neither could have managed alone. Stone helped Daniel create a better water system by finding a spring that had more flow than the one they had been using. Daniel showed Stone how to construct barriers to control the flow and create a clean pool. They built it together. Stone found edible plants that Daniel would have never identified. Daniel taught Stone which ones needed to be cooked to be safe and which could be eaten raw. Stone helped gather them using strength to break branches and pull up roots. Daniel used tools to process them. 3 new structures went up around the camp. Daniel had thought about these designs for weeks. The first was a workshop extension. The second was a defensive structure, stronger and more complex than the first shelter. The third was something new, something comfortable. Daniel built it specifically for Stone. It was larger than the human structures. It had high ceilings and wide spaces. It was made from materials that felt natural to Stone, stones and earth reinforced with wood. When Daniel finished it, he brought Stone to look. The creature walked inside slowly, examining every corner. It made a series of low sounds, soft and thoughtful. Then it lay down in the center of the space, perfectly sized for the creature's body. That night, they slept in their separate buildings. But they were close. Close enough to hear each other. Close enough that they could know they were safe. One evening, Daniel was sitting outside watching the green sunset. The colors of the alien sky were beautiful in a way that no Earth sunset could be. The clouds were purple and orange in shades of color that did not have names. Stone came over and lay down next to him. They sat in silence for a long time. Just the two of them, an alien creature and a human, watching the day end on a world that belonged to neither of them. "We've made something good here," Daniel said. He knew Stone could not fully understand his words, but he spoke anyway. "We have built a home. Not just a shelter, but a real home. I never thought this was possible, but it is." Stone turned its head and looked at Daniel. One of the creature's eyes moved closer to him, and Daniel reached out and touched it gently. The eye was warm and alive and intelligent. "Thank you," Daniel said, "for staying with me, for fighting with me, for teaching me." Stone made a sound like a purr, and the two of them sat together as the alien sun disappeared and the stars came out overhead. The camp was asleep around them. The water system ran clean and clear. The food stores were full. The power system hummed softly in the background. They had built all of this, together, human and alien, friends, and it was only the beginning.